everybody. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Zach.
And I know everything.
I don't know a darn thing.
And this is the Watching You Watch podcast. Wow, that worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, this is the Watching You Watch podcast. We're doing Game of Thrones this time. We're recapping Game of Thrones with the key twist that I've seen Game of Thrones before and therefore know everything about it.
And I have sort of seen a few things on the internet, but have no real idea what's going on with the ice zombies or dragons
or
killing.
anything.
Yeah.
So if you've been tuning in for a while, you've been keeping up with Zach and his crazy antics through season 1 of Game of Thrones, and it's been fun. It's been a fun trip so far.
Yeah, there's been names, there's been deaths. I've gotten more attached to them than I'm more willing to admit.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't. You tell me I shouldn't,
No,
but I
know. But, here we are. We are over halfway done with season 1 of Game of Thrones. We just watched episode 6 of Game of Thrones, entitled A Golden Crown, for a really good reason.
Yeah.
More on that later. But yeah, we have officially breached into the second half of the first season. So Zach, how do you feel about that?
I am glad things are moving and it's getting exciting. Like, every scene in this was exciting. This was okay. I went into this episode with Cameron telling me I almost should be doing a reaction take. I was like, oh my god, who's going to die?
Yeah, I was half tempted to sit there with my audio recorder during the episode and record Zach's reactions as they were happening. I might do that later. That might be a thing we do later. We're going to toy around with the concept. But for this time I didn't. But I was talking it up a lot to Zach. I'm like, oh, you just wait for this episode, Zach. You just wait. You just wait. And it wasn't a bad you just wait.
No, I was so excited. Everything was great. And every time there was a new scene, it was like, well, actually, to start the episode, I thought that Ned was behind some kind of a death veil. I was like, no, wait, oh, he moved.
Yeah, that was really funny. Because the last thing you did see at the end of episode 5 was Ned getting stabbed in the leg with a spear.
Yeah, and people can die that way, okay?
People can.
I mean, you see people get shot in the arm and, slashed in the, whatever, and they're like, oh, they're fine, it's just a flesh wound. Well, you can bleed out.
Yeah. Or, and maybe die from an infection later, since there is no real sanitation in Westeros.
Oh, my goodness. I was so worried.
Yes. Well, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I've already basically said last episode that there's just too much information, too much things happening for Zach to sit here and just recap it all. It would take an entire episode just to do a recap.
Yeah.
And I think it's just more fun getting Zach's reactions to other things. So, Zach, just give us a few of the highlights
okay, so
that
we're gonna
happened
give
this
some
episode.
highlights reel. We had Ned lived. I liked that a lot.
Yes, Ned did live.
And he made in the hand, and then there was domestic violence, and yeah.
Oh, you mean when Robert hit Cersei?
Yeah, a little bit of domestic violence.
A little bit, but I mean...
But they also had the big bromo. It's you're the brother I chose. I'm like, oh my god!
I know. I feel so conflicted about that scene because I love and I hate Cersei, and he hit her and I'm like, yes, she deserves it, but wait, you shouldn't hit women.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but she deserves it, because she's hovering over Ned's bed waiting for him to wake up so she could go neener at him.
Yeah, and to make sure that he's knows that he's gonna be dead. It was not nice. It's not cool. At least wait a few hours.
Right. So continue.
And let's see. Oh, and then on the subject of Robert and Renly went on their super special awesome hunting trip, which they brought Wineboy along, which I'm really starting to get enamored with Wineboy and the fact that he's learning that if Robert doesn't get his wine, things aren't going to be fine.
We need to hashtag that, that little rhyme there. If Robert doesn't get his wine, things won't be fine.
Yeah, and then they had I think it was very poignant that his brother called him out on his warmongering. I thought that was very
and
important.
his sexist behavior too.
And
the whole,
doing the
making
I was
thing.
I was groaning at that point.
Yeah.
Come on, Robert.
Even the knight who's traveling with them is sort of playing along at that point.
The Lannister man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and it's just sort of an appeasement thing.
Yes.
Okay. Also, we go to Breastfeeding Castle.
Breastfeeding Castle.
I don't know what it's called.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
With their sky jails and
yeah.
the guy with the I honestly thought that it wasn't actually a bat, because when it hit him it moved. I thought it was full of air, and he was just afraid.
I don't know.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyrion pulled a lot of Tyrion things, and he got someone to fight for him without honor, and that was really cool. I enjoyed that fight.
He won a trial by combat by bribery and like manipulating that court, which is awesome.
And yeah, well, that court, and it was. I also loved I was like, oh man, are they gonna have audience participation in this? And they did.
They
did. He like started
did.
running through people. Which, on an unrelated note, there is actually going to be a league of. I saw this on Kotaku. People fighting WWE style, but in medieval.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, dude, it's a thing. You need to look at it in Russia because Russia.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah,
now.
but everyone out there, watch
of course,
it.
it's in Russia too.
Oh my god, I'm so excited!
Else.
Now I'll actually get into like a WWE, and they're thinking of actually making a medieval circuit. Sorry, total sidebar.
Yeah,
totally
that was a really weird sidebar. Anyway,
it's my life. And okay, on top of that, we also there was escalating conflict over in Pectoros, and Malfoy was just being all like, I'm not getting what I want, and she eats horse hearts, and everyone loves her, and
yeah, he's kind of realizing that he's lost his grip.
Yeah, like, this is the point where he finally freaking gets it, although it was very interesting to see him call out Jorah on liking his sister, which I feel like he's reading into that more than he should be.
Well, I don't know. Did you get that vibe before watching the show that Jorah's concern for her might be more than just like knightly honor? That he might actually have feelings for her?
No.
Never got that vibe?
No.
Okay.
I thought he was just being a decent human being. I don't know. Maybe like everyone else in the world thinks like when someone's nice, they're like looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought he was doing it because he was a decent person and he knew the role that she was going to have to fulfill, and it was sort of an honorable thing. But that's my take. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like naive and still wearing my rose-colored glasses.
Maybe you are.
You couldn't see it look in his face, but it was very smug.
I was looking away, so I'm trying.
I could tell you.
I'm trying not to betray as much as I can about what's going on here to Zach, even with like my words and actions.
I know. I try not to look at him too.
So I should probably just put like a blinder up between me and him.
It's gonna be like a Catholic confession.
Oh my gosh! Yes, that's perfect.
Someone super fan buys a a Catholic confession.
Yes, we're gonna have a confession stall, and I'll be like, tell me, Zach, of your feelings about this episode of George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones.
I hate Joffrey, which I continued to do that in this episode. It became the worst episode when he showed up, and he had that obviously, like, scripted thing from his mother to tell Sansa, and she's, like, totally buying it, and, like, the wet nurse maid over there just, like, I have hair and you're an idiot.
But what if he actually meant what he was saying?
Oh, no.
What if he actually likes her?
No, he just wants to please Mom.
I mean,
because Mom is domineering.
Yes.
There was no real feeling in that. I can tell it the entire time, and I hate it.
Well, it's real for her at least, though.
Well, yeah, poor Sansa.
Sansa.
That's all I have to say about that. Also, we had another great aside from Tony Stark's Swordmaster, and he had like one of the most metal comments. Oh my god, about like death. I'm gonna write that down and memorize it, but it was great.
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna talk about that a little bit here in a second.
Oh, sweet. So metal. And let's see. Other highlights would definitely be that Malfoy, he got his crown. Oh, he got it.
Oh, yeah. Venereal disease.
See, Malfoy finally bit it.
Oh, yeah.
With gold to the face. And I love, it was the most satisfying thunk in all of television.
It is a very satisfying thunk. Yes, it was.
Yeah, and also Khaleesi is getting all dragony. She like holds hot things and it doesn't hurt, and she's like, haha. And she's like, man, I'm gonna cook me some dragon egg.
Well, and if you remember the line that closes this episode is like she's all like,
oh, if he was a true dragon, the fire wouldn't have burnt him, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And so suck on that.
Yeah.
Freaking Malfoy.
So that was episode 6, the highlights, a golden crown.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
mean, there was also like Bran actually got to ride on his horse.
Yeah,
I was happy for that. The horse
Finally
was kind of weird, and then Greyjoy was all like, "But I'm helping you," and then like his lady friend was all like, "I'm going because there's gonna be orders." Like, "I'm going to miss you," and he's like, "Are you?" He's like, "Here's a coin. Show me your bits," and she did. And
oh boy.
Yeah, well there are other things happened in that episode, obviously, but those are the highlights.
Yes, those were the highlights. Lots of fun things all around.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because most times, Zach, I feel like you get up after we finish this and there's like a feeling of dread, before and after. And yet this is the first episode that we got up and you're like, you know what, that was pretty awesome.
That was pretty great.
A lot of awesome things happened.
Okay, never mind. I also do have to mention that Ned Stark like totally like took charge and like Mr. Mountain, after not taking the fall is taking the fall without needing to for the Lannistrinos is like,
oh dear.
He goes and he just like kills a bunch of innocent people and then puts like fish around, which is evidently Catelyn's house's symbol. And he's like, you know what? I'm sitting on the throne. Screw all y'all.
Yeah.
You're gonna come here and you're gonna get tried and you're gonna die mountain and I'm putting on the pants and Meister's like, no, don't. He's like, shut up.
The best part of that is like Littlefinger sitting right next to him being like, isn't the fish your wife's sigil? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, that could not have been more obvious. I mean, like, if everyone in the room got it at that point.
Didn't your wife do something to piss off the Lannisters?
I don't know. Maybe she did. I think that she went and took Tyrion. Yes, good job, Maestro. Here's a cookie.
So, yes.
That was a good scene.
That was a good scene. Well, yeah, let's dive right into it, and let's just talk about some of the awesome things that happened in this. So, I want to take an aside for a minute and just get your opinion real quick of a topic that maybe we haven't talked about so much. Maybe we've hinted at it a little bit, but I think more than anything, we've just sort of like got little bits and pieces of this idea that magic might exist in this world. So, before this episode, what were your feelings about magic possibly being a thing in Westeros?
Magic pretty much only happened in the bedroom in Westeros. That's maybe it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they have like some very mystic traditions and stuff, but up until this point, we see our first like truly actually on-screen fantastical thing.
Right, which is Daenerys reaching into the fire with the eggs and not getting burned.
Yeah, she was all like not. I don't know. I feel like she was dragon possessed.
Who knows? But the other thing is we've had it before. But we had Bran's dreams of the three-eyed raven, but now we get the same dream again, and it's
just a tiny bit more.
It's like, is there something maybe magic going on there? You don't really know at this point. See,
well, that's the thing, and it had to be a dream because he was walking. So
Yes.
how magical is a dream, or is it just an abstract concept to show that he's remembering the thing that he forgot?
Right, and yet there's this three-eyed raven, and why is there a three-eyed raven?
I don't know. Bran's a dark kid.
Oh boy, what do you think the three-eyed raven means right now? I'm just curious.
One eye stands for Lady, the other eye stands for Bran, and then the third eye stands for the two of them together. He's soon going to realize that he is also part dog, and then
he's part lady.
And he's part lady. And
Lady to specify, by the way, for those of you who missed that episode, Lady is Sansa's wolf that got murdered and then reincarnated into Bran.
Yeah, you're
Zach's
like going
mind.
directly into my headcanon.
And therefore we have, Lady Bran Flakes.
Yes. I don't know what the flakes represent. I guess flakes is like what they'll call themselves when they realize they're one.
Oh boy.
I don't know. But it's going to happen. Just wait for it.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting theory, Zach. I'm sure that will have a lot of credence as we go forward.
Obviously, George R.R. and I are like the same wavelength.
While we're talking about Bran, let's talk about that scene with Bran on his horse getting accosted by those people.
Oh my goodness,
there.
I totally accuse them of being like drugged out Frodo Bagginses.
The one in particular, the woman.
Yeah, the lady. I'm sorry, you are probably a beautiful individual on the inside.
What did you make of them? I'm just curious.
Well, can we go back to the part where they're just like terrible, like watching the kid who's running around on a horse? Come on.
The negligence there.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Well, to be fair,
negligence is rampant.
To be fair,
in House Stark,
Theon was being a little bit of a jerk face to Robb, and they were kind of arguing in that scene.
But whatever.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, also sort of weird that there's just like brigands chilling, and also the fact, I don't know. Oh, Bran, poor Bran, he just didn't get it. And the fact that even brigands could catch on to the fact that it would be smarter to take him south to use as probably a counter hostage to Tyrion shows you how much word is spreading. And I mean, bring this back to Rose, who has even said, I mean, obviously she hears from a lot of people due to her line of work, but it is now spread around, and there is like widespread public belief that there could be like actual war between House Stark and House Lannister.
Right, there is. I'm glad that you mentioned Rose, because I was going to bring her up if you didn't, because there's that really interesting interaction where she's like, war is going to break out here, all the men are going to war,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to have a job anymore, so I'm going
Exactly.
south.
And not only that, but King's Landing is either going to be the safest place for the longest time or like a really bad place to be towards the end.
And she's also, I mean, she's incredibly smart for a prostitute.
No, and that was even evident sort of before. She's not dumb.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I love how she sort of just like plays with Theon. She's like, "What was I going to be, Lady Greyjoy?" Like she knows how that works already. Like it's not going to work.
And he knows how it works too. But he's just like, "Oh, my favorite one."
Yes.
And I'm like, "Oh, you."
But okay, let's go back to the wildlings. We kind of got on a tangent there.
Oh my goodness, they're wildlings.
I was
Okay.
going to spoil this for you
Good,
right
thanks.
now. That because I mean they say it in the episode, but it's kind of hard to follow what exactly they're talking about. But this is our first glimpse of wildlings.
So they made it past the wall. Those little
they
sneaks.
made it past the wall.
Oh man, total government thing. There's no wildlings here. Get out of here, you.
So I'm just curious what your thoughts about that are now that you know that they're wildlings.
They're just poor people that have no other way to make their way in the world other than like beating the crap out of things and stealing and stuff. And I feel bad. I mean, what can they do when they get to live in like super Siberia past the wall that's like full of death beasts and like probably not even like potatoes or whatever? I don't know.
We might get more of a glimpse there later, but
Oh my goodness, we're gonna go to Super Siberia. So I'm super excited.
We do get a little bit of a glimpse of what things are like for people up there. Like you hear them saying, like, "Oh, it's not going to work. We have to get as far south as possible. Things are bad up there," and we're not really sure what it is.
Oh dear.
So they are.
So there's that too, and the wildlings. They say that people that like make their
Well, the wildlings are sort of mythologized by the people of Westeros as like the villains. Like they're the barbarians, they're the other. That's like why the wall is there.
Yeah, well, it's dumb because they're people too, and freaking kings and their agendas.
Well, yeah, we're gonna see how this one develops over time.
Oh, we will.
But yes, it is good to point out that this is our first time that we've seen a wildling in the show, like for real.
Well, that's been alive.
Yes, that's been alive. We saw some corpses in the first episode.
Yeah, that's not a good representation.
No, it really isn't. But now we have some live ones, and they're not pleasant people.
No.
So yeah, there's that. This episode also has a lot of moments that I feel like you can return to later on. There's like these moments that you look back and you're like, this is where things really started moving, started changing. And there's also these statements that are made in this episode that I really feel are like these great blanket statements about how Game of Thrones works. The first one being what Syrio says to Arya, what her fencing teacher says. About there's only one God and his name is death, and there's only one thing we say to death, not today. And it's great because like if there's any statement that you can say about how these characters have to survive in this world, that's it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, like people are dying left and right all the time already. In this, I think maybe we had one episode of season 1 so far where no one's died.
Yeah,
maybe
a few, but
yeah, like like it's like the statement is like cuts right to the truth that death is the real master, not these people who are like weaving fate, not these old gods or new gods, not this or that. It's death.
That's probably the most interesting way someone's ever told a child to, like, calm down and focus on the moment.
Yes, it's really interesting. And it works, too. Like, Arya gets it. She's like, I'm there.
Well, because Arya's, like, quick as a whip. She's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other one that I thought was a really interesting moment is you have the scene where Viserys is trying to steal the dragon eggs. And he gets called out, and then he calls out Jorah, but then he raises a really good point. And he says, who can rule without wealth, fear, or love?
Oh, boy.
And it's really kind of true because, and you can see how this works already in the thing, because you have the Lannisters who have pervaded everything with their wealth, the Targaryens, who were evicted because of too much fear, because the Mad King caused everybody to fear him, and everybody rose up against him.
Yeah.
And then the Starks, who... it seems that everybody likes the Starks unless you're a Lannister.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, because, like, for the people they're champion because they are, like, just and true. They stick to a very, like, stereotypical moral.
Like, and it's yeah, like you say, moral. Like, there's that moment in episode 2 when they're talking about, when the king and Ned are talking about Jon Snow's mother, and the king says, "Oh, she must have been a rare wench if she made you forget your honor, Ned." And it's like, yeah, like he's commenting right there, like the Starks have honor that and people love the Starks because they have a sense of morality and love. We love them in turn for this.
Yes, we do.
So with that in mind, with these qualities of what Viserys as a leader is made of, who else in the show do you think maybe embodies those qualities right now?
Huh. Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Just, oh, man.
I guess what I'm really asking is, doesn't matter, big or small, currently powerful or not currently powerful, like,
who has
these
traits?
Yes. Or who do you think possesses them in enough of amount that maybe they could be seen as a leader?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard because some of them are, like, leaders, but not of, like, full things, like good old Pecky is...
Khal Drogo?
Yeah, Khal Drogo is... Good old Drogo obviously has the fear thing down.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's interesting to see, like, especially for a patriarchal society, we have to bring up Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Again, because she has it. She knows how to win over the people and win their hearts.
Yeah.
And it's not like a hollow thing. Like, she's really accepting their culture.
Yes.
So that's, like, one of the people we can say who is, like, won through love. Because, like, and even Jorah said in the episode, they love her.
Yes.
And that's what kind of sets off good old venereal disease, because he's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, because he says that line because he realizes he has
none of those. Yep.
Yeah.
None of it. He doesn't have wealth. He doesn't have power. Nobody fears him. He's a joke to the Dothraki.
Yeah.
And he's an insufferable piece of poop. So
the best thing he can think to do is, like, I'm going to buy dragons and, like, dragon eggs and sell them and get a reset button.
Basically.
But it's not that simple.
I know. It really isn't.
Who else has these traits in the... Arya.
Arya does, yeah.
She has, like, there's a lot of people that have the making of, like, good leaders, potentially, especially, like, someone like her that's starting out with, like, the Stark morality, but also, like, being quick.
But she's also, I mean, she also has the ability to inspire a little bit of fear. I mean, you saw the way Joffrey cowered about her, you know?
Yeah, and not only that, but she has the power to, like, relinquish her honor to a point like her father wouldn't. Because there's sometimes where that's really bit him hard. And there's
really
sometimes
true.
where it served him.
Well,
and
I think...
You're going to have to be good at doing both of those things if you're going to be the best kind of king.
I think the most key example of it biting him in the butt is, like, what happened right there with him getting stabbed in the leg.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, he's really just doing this sort of innocent investigation of things, and then you saw how Cersei twisted that. Like, oh, like, he was drunk shambling out of a whorehouse, and then Jaime kicked his butt. And it's like, well, yes, he was getting out of a whorehouse, and yes, he was a little bit incensed about everything going on there.
Yeah, but that is not
But
drunk.
that's not what was happening.
And, let's see who started the fight.
Who was not there to say anything about how that fight went down. He was conspicuously missing. Jaime was.
Oh my goodness. And another thing to throw about that is I love how one of Robert's threats is when he does, like, if he weren't to keep the hand and he'd pin it on him, or I swear I'll put it on Jaime.
Oh, I know. And Ned's like, oh no, you won't. All right, yeah. I'll be a good hand now.
I'll do it. I'll be a good hand now. Don't do that thing.
We've been holding off really talking about it.
Also, I know that Ned would be a good king. I love how he stepped up. Putting him on the crown for that second, and he knew where he was at. He done did it.
Yeah,
he cut straight to the heart of the matter. He's like, no, we're done with these games. We're going to talk about this face to face.
But, okay, while I agree with you that he does take charge, let's think about this for a second, because he uses the power that he gets in this one episode. Like, the king's away, Ned's gonna play, and he uses it to kind of, he aims it against the Lannister. He's like, I'm gonna call Tywin to court to account for the crimes of his bannermen, and it's like, dude, you are telling the guy who like is like the coin purse of the realm to not be a bad dude, and and it's like he could be like, or not, because I have all the money and screw you. And Ned just does what he does anyway, because he's like, but justice, and he doesn't
justice.
He doesn't really think that one through, I don't think.
That definitely was more in a flight of emotion, but I don't know.
Maybe it'll turn out to be okay.
I hope it does.
But anyway, let's move on, because we haven't been talking about it so far. We've been touching around it, but I think now we can finally talk about it in its glory, in its full glory, its full golden glory.
Oh yay!
Let's talk about Viserys' death.
Oops.
Yes. You in episode 1, when I asked you the question that I ask you every week about who you would give the crown for their actions, our very first episode, our very first winner of the crown was Viserys there. Let's listen to the soundbite right now of Zach saying this. Okay, and here I'm inserting the soundbite, so I'm going to talk like this for a little bit. Doesn't matter how long I talk, because I will just cut around it anyway.
But it does, because there's a certain file size that we have to keep to.
No, it won't. Okay, so yeah, Zach, that was you giving Viserys the crown in episode 1.
Well, I haven't always been known to make the best choices.
It's kind of funny. You gave him the crown for acquiring the Dothraki to be his army.
Oh, the mega irony!
And the irony is, it's because of that he's dead.
I love it. That's probably the best way. I wanted him to die, and I am satisfied. I am fully satisfied with his character.
It's a very satisfying death. But it's satisfying on a couple levels. First off, it's just so, like, perfectly ironic for the way he dies.
Oh, yeah.
The golden crown, and I love how Daenerys is translating for Khal Drogo there. She's like, he's going to give you a golden crown that men will tremble to behold.
And he's
it's like,
oh, yeah, that's what I want. That's nice. Yeah, give it to me.
And
wait, no. Oh, darn.
Yes, and men are going to tremble to behold that crown.
Yeah, I wonder. Are they gonna like put it on a stake and like parade it around? How cool would that be?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's worth noting too, though, that it's Khal Drogo doesn't care that he just melted down like a ton of gold crap that he had.
Well, dude, yeah, that doesn't matter.
He doesn't care.
It was literally like his belt, wasn't it?
It was his belt, but he also threw in some like other stuff in there.
Yeah.
And he just like threw random gold that he had in there, and he's just like, screw this gold, it's going on this guy's face.
Well, they threatened his son.
I know.
Oh my, his son Ragu.
Oh my gosh.
Ragu.
Rhaego.
They wait for the pasta.
Yes.
They crave it.
Let's touch on why you say that. So there's a scene, Zach is referencing the scene in which Daenerys eats the horse heart to be inducted to the Dothraki.
Uh-huh.
And after that she's like, my son's name is going to be Rhaego, and everybody starts chanting it.
And after a while, it just started to sound like Ragu to me. Maybe it's because I was hungry, maybe it's because I like pasta.
Or maybe because, like Daenerys' face is just dripping red from all that horse blood.
From all the sauce. From all the Ragu sauce.
Ragu is disgusting, by the way.
It's cheap and I can buy it.
Ew. I hate Ragu.
You have a finer palate.
Prego is where it's at.
The Prego. Throw the Lannister in those pie,
Oh
you
my
dirty...
gosh. Loris takes the fall.
Loris takes the fall. Mountain, I thought I told you to cover your face when you killed all those people. I thought that was not smooth.
You have to make it look like an accident.
I just imagine him taking the entire town, putting cement blocks on them and throwing them in the pond.
What are you doing putting those fish there? That's not subtle.
I told you, it'd be better if you just, wrote out half of a name and had them figure it out. Katniss. And then they have to figure out the rest.
But yeah, so back to Viserys, because this is where this tangent got off of here. Yeah, so Viserys is the first death, too, that, like, you can really look back at the beginning, and it's like, oh yeah, like, he deserved that. And you can see how he was pointed at that.
Oh, it was delicious.
And there were delicious death flags on that one there. But let's talk about your predictions right now as far as death flags go.
Oh boy.
Whether they're the delicious kind or not, where are your death flags popping out of?
Sean Bean, because Sean Bean. Let's see, who else? Who else seems to be? Catelyn is not in a good spot.
Yeah, that really didn't work out in her favor there at the
really
Eyrie.
Worked out in her favor. So
at the breastfeeding castle.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so breastfeeding Eyrie Castle. Okay.
Yeah, the Eyrie is the real name of it.
The Eyrie.
Yes.
All right, I want to call it the Vale for some reason.
Well, the Vale is where it's sort of situated. It's kind of like the region. So, like, the Eyrie is like the name of the fortress, the castle there.
It's where they teach people how to fly.
Well, if only.
Castle Breastmilk, where we teach people how to fly.
Castle Breastmilk.
All right, well, enough of my erroneous names. The Eyrie Vale. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So, but anybody else? It doesn't matter how, like,
I
major
feel
or
like
minor they are.
Greyjoy.
Theon?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like, with his clashes and, like, some of his, like, rash actions and, like, I don't know.
Do you see some death flags popping out there? Be honest.
Maybe. Possibly.
Okay.
I see it being quite possible. Or just kind of in the house in general. Now that, like, Bran has, like, wings to go around and be irresponsible again without anyone watching him, Bran could also be a high thing. Yeah. Because they didn't watch him before and he fell off a thing, and now they give him a freaking horse. Guess how much faster a horse is than a kid? So, yeah, that's also a problem.
Anybody else? What about any of the King's Landing crowd? Did any of them have death flags popping out of them?
Let's see. No.
We're gonna say Littlefinger?
I was almost gonna say Littlefinger, but the thing is, he plays his hand too close. It's just that he is aligning. The thing with it is if things go down and the Starks go on the losing side of the deal, he's going to get implicated just on principle.
Because he's working with them?
Basically, and it's like super obvious. Everyone like says it, and it's a matter of whether or not Varys will be like point fingers like he fed them information. I don't really know where he. We didn't even see him this episode, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he was not there.
So I don't know. Also, I mean, if we're going to talk about death flags, also the Mountain for going rogue.
Okay.
And I mean, even if he was listening to Tywin and being a mad dog, he has gone. I don't know. He probably just wanted to go on a killing spree because he felt like it. Even if his master hadn't told him or not, he probably was gonna kill people anyway. His master's like, listen, make it look like, it was them. And he's like, finally, bloodshed.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know any other.
So, okay, just to recap, we flagged Catelyn and Ned.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
Mountain, Theon?
Theon it's sort of like, it's like hovering around.
Okay,
him.
and Littlefinger maybe in the same way?
Well, if the Starks go down, he's going to go with them most likely, or things are going to go bad for him. Not necessarily death, but like just he'll be ruined.
Gotcha.
Those are my big ones. I mean, we could talk about how every character has a death flag, but
well, I'm talking about
Those are the big
specifics, though.
yeah, those are the big ones.
I feel like there are certain specific things that will be like hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, death. And I think maybe the first one is like with the case of Viserys, him just generally being a jerk, but also the line where he talks to Daenerys in the first episode. She's like, I don't want to marry Drogo, and he's like, I'd let all the barbarians rape you and their horses too if it got me what I wanted.
Yeah,
and it's like, bing, death flag.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the fact that he did not get up until like the very end his position in things.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Well, let's move on to our weekly wrap-up questions here.
All right, let's do it.
There's obviously a lot that happened, and a lot of fates, a lot of reversals of fate. So instead of just jumping right into maybe some of like the more meatier questions, let's go to an obvious one: best death, worst death.
Yeah, obviously best goes to Viserys because it was ironic and it was just brutal. I've never seen anything like that in any other show.
It's awesome.
That was
I'm sorry, we just keep talking about this death, but it's awesome.
It really is. That was just like, it was perfect. That's all I really have to say. And, well, I guess, no, that goes as worst death.
Well, like, it can be best because it's the most satisfying. You could always consider it like that.
Ah, boy, but I don't want to switch it around because I've always been trying to do it in terms of, well, that would have sucked the most.
Well, if we're going by what would have sucked the most, I think maybe getting stabbed in the neck and thrown out the moon door would have sucked a lot.
Yeah, there is that too. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's no different than, like, the bandits bleeding out because he didn't even get to, like, hit the ground. He was falling.
Yeah.
That might have actually been kind of cool.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll give him... Worst death probably goes to, good old Viserys.
Yeah.
And then...
Wouldn't want to go that way.
Best death, I don't know. If I'm gonna die, and as compared to all the other stabby bleed out things, I'd rather, like, die, falling from a great height.
Okay.
That would be neat.
See, now I you see, in my mind, I've always thought of, like, the question of death because of being, like, most satisfying, most, like, whatever, like, being the best death. But now I get where your thought process is on it, so...
Yeah, I'm thinking of this very technically from my medical background.
So
how much
the
would
best
that
way
suck?
to die, worst way to die? Yeah.
Yeah, how much would that truly suck? Oh.
It's good that we cleared that up. Now it makes a lot more sense to me.
of how I've been answering.
Yes.
That's typically how I paint it, but I mean, last time we picked the dulcimer, so... You're gonna get some great medical care from me, folks.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, let's move on then to Stark of the Week. We don't really get to see a lot of Stark action this episode. There's a fair amount, but I think the things that really take the forefront are Viserys, obviously, and the whole Dothraki thing. That takes a lot of the forefront there.
I'm probably gonna give Ned again, because it was just so satisfying to see him be like, you know what? Let's call the Lannisters in here. Let's do that. Let's do that thing.
Yeah. So Ned gets Stark of the Week for like call for
and
like,
I mean
call
when
the
I
shots,
think
finally.
when I think of like trying to call Arya on it, it was almost more like the scene she was in. Like she was a bit player
for Arya.
in them. Yeah, for Arya, for like the Swordmaster scene, which is partially her Swordmaster, and then the other one where she's like, "You girls are going home," and like her just witty quips.
Yeah, she's like, no way am I going home. And then she's like, but I'm going to have Joffrey's babies. And then Arya's like, there's like seven hells.
I know, that was my favorite.
Yes. It was almost enough to get her Stark of the Week, except Ned beat her out just by a little bit.
With a little bit more plot important things.
Well, then let's go on to best plan, worst plan. A lot of plans being made here. Of course, you got Ned being like, I'm going to call the Lannisters to justice. Maybe a good plan, maybe a bad plan. Daenerys seems to be moving in a different direction now.
I know exactly what my worst plan is, and it's probably not what you think it is.
Okay, what's the worst plan? I want to hear it.
Sansa wanting to be with Joffrey.
Okay, there you go. That is a terrible plan.
That is the worst. Oh my goodness. No, literally while we were watching this, I told Cameron, it's like, pause this right after he like kisses her. I need to go vomit. Can you please pause this? I need to throw up.
And she buys it hook, line, and sinker too. That's the worst part.
And for all this week she was just moping, and then he just gets her a necklace and like tells her like the sap lines. Listen, that's not how it happens in real life, and it does happen in real life for you. Congrats. She really does love you.
Just don't I don't know. Okay, so no one's really sat this girl down and been like, listen, guy being
her
like,
father did for a hot second, but she wasn't hearing any of it in her love haze.
I know she's in a love haze. She is. That's the worst thing too. I think everybody's had that friend once who's like been caught in that like
haze,
that love haze that they won't listen to any reason. You're like, you're gonna get knocked on your butt. You're gonna get knocked on your butt, and it's gonna be so bad. And then what happens? They get knocked on their butt, and it's so bad. And they come crawling back to you and are like,
love me.
They're just like, and it's like, hey, I told you.
I told you. Here's some chocolate, but I'm going to continue to tell you that I told you.
Yes, and then if you're a good friend, you just drop the "I told you so" and then keep giving them chocolate.
Yay! That's the best.
But what about best plan? Who laid the best plan? Was Daenerys? Because you could argue Daenerys not standing up for her brother is a good plan.
Yeah, she didn't die. That she would have immediately been dead.
But also,
That's
she seems
true.
to her plan seems to go farther than that. She's adopting the Dothraki way. She's really
It's so much
embracing
more
it.
to her than that. But I don't know.
Do you think that's a good plan though? Her adopting Dothraki customs and just being like, F this Westeros stuff. Like,
Well,
the Dothraki's my home now.
Sure, fine. I mean, she'd probably be able to find happiness better that way, and if they don't go to war with someone else, all the better for her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has she actually ever been there when, like, the Dothraki have raided anything? I mean, is that, like, behind the scene?
See, the thing is, the Dothraki have never crossed the sea, because there's a big sea separating Essos from Westeros.
Although they call it the Narrow Sea.
They call it the Narrow Sea, but it's an ocean. And like the Dothraki have never crossed it, so there's no precedent for what the Dothraki would do, even if they've gotten there. So
maybe they're just chilling.
We don't know yet. What
maybe they
would
would teach them how to twerk over there, and they
oh
could
my
bond.
gosh, Dothraki twerking. We got a little bit of that again too this episode. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it made me chuckle, and they legitimately hissed at Viserys, which was
I know.
so satisfying.
I love the Dothraki.
They're great.
They're great. Yeah,
they're my favorite.
But come on, Zach, you need to give me a best plan.
I feel like there were no. All right.
Okay, well let's
Okay,
narrow
the
it
plan
down.
that was best and worked out was Tyrion bribing the stupid warden.
Okay, but no,
honestly, because I got
yes,
them
it's
exactly what
obviously
he
the best
wanted
plan,
and
but
more.
I'm talking about best plans moving forward. Like
he totally moved forward.
No, but like at the end of the
dodge it, man.
episode, when someone's like got a plan that's going to carry them through, like who's got the best one? You think?
You just won't let me pick the completed plans, will you?
No, I won't.
You jerk.
Let's talk about plans that are hanging at the end of this episode. So you got Daenerys, Ned.
Well, Catelyn's
sort of in shambles right now. You could argue maybe.
You have Roses.
Yeah, Rose.
Let's give it to Rose. Rose is the smartest
Rose, the
one out of all
kindly
of them.
prostitute.
Yeah.
The kindly smart prostitute.
The kindly, very wise prostitute that gets the social climate and is like, I'm gonna go where it's best for me to be.
Yes, and she's like, I'm gonna.
Everyone else's plans have like a high probability of like biting them in the butt, and hers is like it'll work either way, whether this stuff happens or not.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that, like, Theon doesn't get it. Like, he thinks that she's a stupid little whore, and she's going to stay where she's at, because that's what stupid little whores do. And she's like, no, I'm a smart little whore.
It's like, oh.
And I'm leaving. And then he flips her a coin, and then she's like, okay, fine. One last glimpse.
Oh, my God. What a nerd.
Oh, dear. All right, I will be satisfied with that. We can give Rose the best
that definitely
plan.
is the best, because everyone else I have to, like, think of for a second and weigh how terribly wrong they can go.
Yes. Well, then I have to move on to the obvious extension of this question of best plans and say who played the game the best this episode. Who would you give the crown based upon how well they played the game?
Give it to Rose?
Do you want to give it to Rose?
No. It wasn't that smart.
Okay.
Not crown smart.
No. But like, I mean, there's a lot of people who are playing the game from a lot of different angles. Tyrion clearly played it well this week because he played people against themselves.
Yeah, exactly. He played their own corrupt court against them, and he literally walked in that room. He obviously sized them all up, and he knew that he could like do that one thing.
Yes,
just by like being himself, and like he knew like I'm sure that there's someone who will be won over by me, and there'll probably be a person like me. And, like, he probably knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened, is my thought to that scene.
Or you could also argue Daenerys is playing the game well. She's just playing, like, a different game entirely.
Yeah. But if we're talking about who to get the crown, I want to give it to Ned more to the honor and tactics he's going to use, because if I'm going to have a Westeros, I want to be a Westeros without all of the stupid crap that is going on with the monies and the hands and the things talking behind them and just bleh.
So Ned is not only Stark of the Week this week, but Ned is the winner of the crown based on how well he played
all
the game.
the things.
Okay, I am not going to contest you on any particular point there. I think it's awesome that Ned has cleared a category this week. He is Stark of the Week. He is winner of the crown this week.
Good, I love him. Don't you freaking Sean Bean on me. Don't.
Well, I guess we have to leave off here with the last question of how hopeful do you feel? And obviously, I think there's a lot to feel hopeful about.
I have increased my hopeful quotient to like an 8 out of 10.
That's pretty good. That's the highest it's been since the beginning.
This episode's really amped me up.
Yeah.
And I'm okay.
I'm glad you feel that way. I mean, it's a low note for Viserys, and it's a low note for maybe Renly getting annoyed in the woods with Robert. I don't know, but it's a high note for just about everybody else.
The kid got to see the guy fly.
Yes, even Robin Aaron was like, "Oh, someone's flying!
Oh my god!
Make the bad man fly!" Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that I hope we aren't there much longer because I want to make him fly.
You want to leave Breastmilk Castle?
I want them to get right out of Breastmilk Castle, get pasteurized, and then go over and say to the Lannisters, "Look, this is what justice looks like," and then pour molten justice on their face.
Are we talking about breast milk or gold?
Golden breast milk.
Oh boy,
we're trying to.
I was confused about where that was going.
We're tying the episode all into one. Everything is one.
Oh my gosh. Well, Zach, as always, it has been fun watching you watch this.
Oh boy,
I'm hoping that you are having fun.
I am having too much fun, especially. Dear listeners, I am wearing a crown.
Yeah, Zach is wearing this inflatable crown.
I'm pretty sure it's cutting off the circulation to my head, and I will continue to wear it each week.
I hope he does.
Thank you, Loot Crate. You are the best.
Yeah,
sponsor us. I'm sorry. It just slipped.
It's okay, Zach. It's okay. We'll forgive you this time. So yeah, if you've been following along with us and want to get in on the action, if you have a question for Zach,
ooh, yes,
that we're getting towards the end of season 1 here.
And there's people actually following along with me, and it makes me feel like I have friends, and it's great.
And I really think. I mean, if you've seen Game of Thrones before, if you've read the book, you know what's going to happen here at the end of the season. You know that there's going to be a lot of questions coming up here that we might want to have to ask Zach.
Oh boy!
So if you have them, feel free to tweet them at us. We're at Useful NPCs. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel. Useful NPCs. On YouTube. We also have a Tumblr, and we would love for you guys to engage with us on Tumblr.
But no spoiler pictures, I swear. I will literally blow up the Tumblr.
Yeah.
I will annihilate it.
Please respect the fact that
I run that.
Yeah, Zach really does run our Tumblr. He has a lot of fun doing it.
Yes, I do. Too much.
Please recognize, too, that this doesn't work if Zach gets spoiled. So you won't have fun if you spoil Zach's fun. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'll find you. If you got those questions, shoot them at us. We'd love to hear them. Yeah, all kinds of the constructive things.
Yes, we appreciate you for you to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel too.
Yeah, if you feel like it.
If you want to hear more of our content.
I mean, you click to open up the web browser. You can click the subscribe button. I believe in you.
So yeah, this has once again been our recap podcast of Game of Thrones, Watching You Watch. Mm-hmm. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Zach.
And we had a lot of fun this week.
Yes.
And hope to catch you next time.
All right. See you around.
See ya.